Hey everyone, it's James from Dreamweaver All of these titles have been created with pure CSS. These are not images. These are not images from Photoshop or Fireworks or any other program. These are pure CSS, and that's what we'll cover in this tutorial today. Now the first thing we'll cover is a more practical use for the text shadows, and more sort of everyday use you'll use for them rather than making a title. And we're just going to make this text sort of jump out a little bit from the screen. Now this video is more of a demonstration rather than a tutorial, but I will leave you both of the files so you can practice and you can see all of the coding and all of the effects that I applied to all of the text. So I've created a basic div with some content inside of it, and I've added the new CSS3 text shadow attribute, and that's text-shadow and colon. And the first attribute that you need to put in is the horizontal offset. The second attribute is the vertical offset. And then the third attribute is the blur radius, so how blurry you want that to be. And the last attribute is the color, so you specify that with a hexadecimal color. Now from the settings I've just put in, you'll see that the text has appeared like this, and there's a slight, just a slight shadow underneath it. If you download the file, you'll see it a lot better. Now I suggest you play around with these different effects and see what suits you. If you put negative figures in on the horizontal, it will appear further on the left. So if you put minus 30 pixels as the first attribute, it will appear 30 pixels to the left of the text. And the same with vertical. If you put minus figures in, it will appear above the text. Okay, so there's not much difference between these two. I just slightly adjusted the blur radius by 1 pixel there. It's more of a visual effect that you'll see if you're experimenting yourself. Okay, so now I'm going to bump up the blur radius to 5 pixels, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the text shadow on the horizontal to 2 pixels and 2 pixels on the vertical as well. So it'll appear 2 pixels on the right and 2 pixels down from the text. And there you go. It's a little bit more of an effect there. It's jumping out on the screen ever so slightly. You can see when I change between the two browser pages that it does really make a difference there, just those little bit of an adjustment on the figures. Okay, so this file is available for download, so you can practice yourself with the text shadow attributes. Now we'll move on to the titles that I had at the start of the video, and what I've done is created a wrapper div with a content div, and I've put H1, H2, H3, H4 and H5 title tags in it. Now I'm using pretty much the same code for all of the title tags, just to center them in the CSS and to change the text size and the color, but the only difference is what I'm going to do is change the text shadow attributes to reflect different effects that you can do with this new attribute. Now the first effect is to make the horizontal and vertical offset 0 pixels, and then bump up the blur radius to about 85 pixels, and then put in an alternating color, and that will just spread around the text and make a nice little glowing neon effect. Now I'm going to type in text-shadow colon, and I'm going to change the horizontal and vertical to 0, 85 pixels blur radius, and I'm going to give it a hexadecimal. It's a kind of yellow color, and let's preview that in the browser now. Okay, so as you can see, it's a bit of a subtle effect, but you can really play around with the colors, make a nice light blue neon effect, or a hot pink sort of effect. Very subtle looking, but you know, it carries it off quite well. Okay, now to achieve the more stunning looking effects for the titles that I showed you at the start of the video, it will be available for download, the file, and basically what you do is build up layers of text shadows all into one long code. So I'll type text-shadow colon, and then I'll build up a series of different layered colors and blur radiuses, and we'll separate all of the code with commas. So let's have a look at that now. Okay, as you can see, I've typed text-shadow colon, and the first layer I've put in is 0, 0, 4 pixels white. So that will be 0 on the horizontal, 0 on the vertical, 4 pixels blur radius and the color of white. I've separated that with a comma, and then after that I've started building up the layers, and you notice that I'm building up -5, -10, -15, -25 on the vertical axis, the vertical offset, to bring it back up and away from the text. And I've also experimented with different ranges of horizontal offset as well. So I've put all of the code into a big file which you can download, and you'll get all the same effects that I showed you at the start of the tutorial. Okay, so you're basically going to be able to create effects like this, and I think they look really good. And let's not forget, it's all CSS3. There's no Photoshop or Fireworks involved in this at all. Okay, so don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.